Hello everybody, the Gamer Aris here, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be telling you the story of my first ever successful Pokemon Nuzlocke. But in order to do that, we got to go back to where it first started. 2020, the year of... yeah. Anyways, among all the chaos, we stood alone. We reigned supreme, and this is how it happened. For those of you who don't know what a Nuzlocke is by now, you're lying. You know how it works, but just in case, these are the rules that I played by. I can only catch the first new Pokemon on each new route, and if it flees or dies, I lose that encounter forever. The wild area was something new to Pokemon, and to work around it, I gave myself 3 encounters of my choice wherever in the wild area I wanted, with the exception of Max Dens, where I did not get an encounter at all. If a Pokemon faints, it is dead forever, and I must box it. No exceptions. Items are normally not allowed to be used while in battle, but I use them because I suck at video games. And last but not least, I must nickname all the Pokemon I catch to become more attached to them. And oh boy, do I get attached to a few of them. So strap in and let's get going. This journey begins like many Pokemon games, with the important choice of your starter Pokemon. Now, I could have done research and found the best option for this challenge, but I really didn't care. I just wanted Sobble. I always loved the water starters. Which led me to my first nickname of the Nuzlocke. Sobble needed to have a name that commands respect and power for the leader he must be as the starting Pokemon. Just kidding, I made noises for this one and ended up with the nickname Tagara. Not soon after being given our starter Pokemon, we get forced into a battle with our rival, Hop. We quickly beat his pet sheep to death and gain a level, granting us access to the move Water Gun. A water-type move that just so happens to be super effective on Hop's Score Bunny, winning us the match in just 2 Water Gun hits. After rescuing the lost Wooloo and seeing one of the legendary dog warriors, we make our way back home to our mother, who officially starts our Nuzlocke by giving us Pokeballs. From this point forward, I can now lose. Every decision needs to be carefully calculated and properly executed, or I risk losing it all. Now, as you might see, I'm not using my capture card for this episode, as at the moment I didn't have a reliable computer to use because my school computer had to be returned for the summer. So let me just summarize what went down. I previously had caught a Squovit as my Route 1 encounter, and I have absolutely no idea what happened to the other encounters before the wild area. We caught 2 of my 3 wild area encounters while we were there as well. A Snover that unfortunately ended our starter's life, and a Vulpix that I almost killed with a crit trying to catch it. As we encountered Hop for the 3rd time this run, but only seeing him twice, we beat his Pokemon up once again without skipping a beat. I moved on to the next encounter, catching none other than Walter the Clink. After grinding up my Pokemon for a whole 35 minutes to prepare for the fight at the first gym, we also grabbed a few much needed encounters, one of which ended up shaping the channel into what it one day will become. A very special Pokemon we have all grown to love here on the Gamer Aris channel, Trembling the Timber. After almost losing dribbles to my stupidity against Bede, we finally make our way to the first gym, only to be greeted with Hop shoving his badge in our face, telling us to catch up. We then enter the gym, do some free manual labor, and take on the grass-type gym leader Milo. And here's how it went. As I enter the battle confidently, I lead with Burn, and Milo leads with his first Pokemon, Gossifleur. I immediately decide to Dynamax Burn, expecting Max Flare to OHKO easily, while also setting up the Sun. However, my plans are foiled, as it doesn't OHKO and barely lives and hits me back with Round, doing some decent damage but not enough to be concerning. The very next turn, I use Max Flare again to disintegrate his Gossifleur, but soon after, I realize my major mistake. Milo is now sending out his ace, Eldegoss, which has a fresh Dynamax counter while I only have one turn left of mine. I decided to use one last Max Flare to deal as much damage as possible before evidently shrinking back to normal size. Now, as you can see, there are several things I didn't account for when I first started this Nuzlocke. This gym fight is an example of that. I didn't even consider the grassy terrain, his Dynamax versus mine, and stab of his grass moves all together, and that just makes me upset, yet proud of how far I've come in Nuzlockes. As you can see, Burn clearly dies, and we have our first on-camera death of the Nuzlocke. I send in Dribbles to hopefully take a hit and use Yawn, which I successfully did. With Milo's Eldegoss no longer being a big boy, I then safely switch to Winter, who resists grass-type attacks, to continuously spam ice moves until evidently securing me the win. Come on! Uh-oh. Round. God! God, yes! Yes! Oh my god. So, as you can see, a lot happened there. We made careless mistakes left and right, but somehow, we prevailed. That's how a lot of these battles are going to look going forward. And as a disclaimer to those who hate bad Nuzlocke plays and bad Nuzlockes in general, I'm sorry ahead of time. This is not the run for you. I have gotten better since though, and I do continue to stream on my Twitch, so go check that out. Anyways, enough of that. Let's get back to the plot and the story of my first ever successful Pokemon Nuzlocke. After asking Ball Guy some random questions like what type of meat he prefers and what video game is the best, we make our way to the next route, where we win our first double battle as we train for the next gym. As I'm grinding, I also stop to catch a Nuzleaf, which I name Knight, which will be essential in the next gym. After catching Knights, I continue to train off trainers that have noses that just don't look right. And after getting locked into Charge Beam by Encore, I easily dispose of this trainer and head over to the Not So Daycare to pick up a free Toxel, which I immediately put on the team to level up. As we make our way towards the next gym, we get stopped by Team Yell, forcing us into 2 back-to-back battles, which I lead with Walter and get paralyzed by Lick almost immediately. So I switch into Trembling to try and clean up the first grunt by just spamming Low Kick, which eventually works. For the second fight, I am forced to lead with Walter, and him being already paralyzed, I immediately switch to Winter to try and deal chip damage while also eventually needing to eat an Oranberry to recover some lost health. But sooner or later, Winter secures me the win and we get the bike. So I would like to say that this battle was a cakewalk, but unfortunately, younger me had some trouble. The battle starts as I send out dribbles and Hop sends out Wooloo, and on turn 1, Wooloo goes for defense curl. I go for yawn, trying to make his Wooloo fall asleep, but then the Wooloo goes for defense curl again, raising it to +2 defense, as I use water pulse, which doesn't do much damage. However, it does cause it to become confused, and now because of yawn, asleep. I then land another hit, bringing his Wooloo down to half health. Luckily, the Wooloo is still counting its friends and doesn't wake up yet. I then attack with confusion and bring it down to red HP. And as soon as this stupid idiot uses a super potion, it goes all the way back up to full HP, undoing all of my progress. I then switch to Trembling, who I hope can KO it faster, as I completely disregard the defense buffs that Wooloo has. I hit it with low kick and deal a jokingly low amount of damage. Wooloo then wakes up and I am in serious trouble. I send in Walter to gamble on a charge beam combo to be the solution. Hop then responds with a super effective double kick. I do, however, pull off the combo and just barely don't kill it. Luckily, he doesn't heal and Wooloo finally goes down. Hop then sends out his ace, Raboot, which I send out dribbles to deal with. And after taking an incoming double kick, I respond with a super effective water pulse on the next turn. However, the water pulse does less damage than I expect, so I set up a yawn, eventually getting the kill. So I was watching the battle and I don't even know how to explain what happened, if there was a plan at all. So instead, here's the actual conversation that happened. It's quite entertaining. Enjoy!
So, one time in Let's Go Eevee, I caught an Onyx, and when you're allowed to let your Pokemon follow you, dude, when I took out Onyx, he crashed my game. He was just so big, he just crashed my game. But like, you rode on the top of him, it was cool, and get your mind out of the gutter. Don't take that in a bad way.
He's not steel yet, so that's good. I think when he evolves in his final form, he becomes steel.
I was gonna say, hey Hop, you want some chicken wings, but I just remembered chicken wings don't come from birds. I'm very unintelligent. It is 1:30 a.m.
Where do they come from?
You do be rocking the red shirt, bro. What comes from birds? What meat comes from birds?
Chicken.
What? No, those come from chickens.
Which are a bird!
Oh. It's the morning, okay? You can't blame me. I just ran 5 miles. You cannot blame me.
Did you now?
I did.
How long ago?
Well, for you, it was probably like not too long ago. I ended it at 8 or something, so.
Ooh, headbutt, yes. Finally, a physical fucking move. What do I get rid of?
Your mom.
Shut up. I'm getting rid of acid. I'm not on acid right now.
I wonder what acid feels like to be on them.
After the brutal Hop fight we just witnessed, the pain isn't over yet. I encounter an optional trainer after yelling at my friend to let me do the intro and end up not paying attention to the confusion and lose Winter right before the water gym. I am now in a very bad situation once again. I was able to clean up the rest of the fight with Walter, but the damage was already done. And as I make my way to the docks to catch a Choodle that just didn't want to stay in the ball for a while, I name Little Timette, because it's a girl. Then I go to talk to Nessa and head to the second gym, Water. But before I enter the battle, I decide to evolve Knight into Shiftry for some extra damage and better stats. Knight then learns Leaf Tornado, and with the stage set for round 2, I enter the gym battle with confidence and a dream. The battle starts off with Nessa sending out Goldeen, as I send out Walter. Goldeen hits me with a Water Pulse, dealing a bit more damage than I was hoping for, but I hit back with a super effective Charge Beam, and deal about 1/3 of its total HP. On the next turn, I go for Charge, but I end up getting confused by the incoming Water Pulse. Luckily, Walter didn't feel like self-harming that time, as I hit through the confusion, allowing me to get the charge off. After eating an Oran Berry to recover 10 HP, I hit a Charge Beam, knocking out the Goldeen. Next up is Nessa's Arrokuda. I keep Walter in, who is now at +1 special attack and +2 special defense. Arrokuda is a decently fast Pokemon, and with Bite's help, flinches Walter and leaves him in the yellow. As a solution, I use Atomize to increase Walter's speed by +2 to try and avoid more flinches. I then heal Walter up, getting him ready to fight back. A few Charge Beams later, and Arrokuda finally goes down, bringing out the Pokemon that made me lose my first Nuzlocke, Dreadnought. With Walter now at +2 speed and at least +2 in both special stats, I stay in. We both Dynamax as I go for Max Lightning. Dreadnought goes for Max Darkness, a move I was not expecting. I then decide on the next turn to go for a Max Guard and try and stall out the Dynamax, but end up going for it twice and not realizing it would fail on the second try, making a huge mistake and losing Walter in the process, the first death that truly hurt. I then send in my newly evolved Knight to clean up the rest of Dreadnaught's HP and win me the match after landing a 4x super effective Leaf Tornado. No! I'm doing this again. Please kill. I can't take another fucking hit. Yeah!
Nice. We lost 1-1.
After the heavy loss of Walter, I decided to do some offline grinding in the wild area. And by grinding, I mean use the camp a bunch. And after just a few meals, Little Timette evolved into my very own Dreadnought. After wandering around the wild area for a bit, I decided to use my final encounter for a Mudbray that I named My Little Pony. But none of that mattered because I had a double date with Sonia, which afterwards, she gives me access to TM79 Retaliation. Making our way through the only other cave in the Galar region, we encounter Beat, who we then beat up once again and decide to catch a nearby Shuckle that will just refuse to die in the future, before taking on a double battle with Hop against Team Yell, which after winning, allows Trembling to evolve into Girder. After the exciting evolution of Trembling, We grabbed our next encounter and name it Draggy Balls because my buddy at the time, Wilbur, thought it was funny. But the laughs quickly end as I find my way into a trainer battle that ends up making little baby lightning no longer exist. And as we make our way to the third gym, we get stopped yet again by Hop, who shoves his newly acquired badge in our face and then just runs off like nothing ever happened. After taking some time to reevaluate the team and try to improve for this gym and the rest of Nuzlocke, we end up with the following team to tackle the fire gym, while also adding a newly acquired Litwick named Melting to the team, while completing the gym challenge. Kabu opens with Ninetales, a fast and fiery Pokemon, but I came prepared, as Dreadnought hits the field and doesn't hesitate to land a super effective Rock Tomb, lowering Ninetales' speed and dealing massive damage at the same time. However, my luck runs short here, as Ninetales goes for Will-O-Wisp, trying to cripple my attack stat and causing me some trouble. But sooner or later, Ninetales goes down to a few Whirlpools. But then came the big, bad, and fast Arcanine. But little does Kabu know, I have a secret weapon, Trembling. And with the help of Rock Slide and Bulk Up, Trembling easily disposes Kabu's non-legendary legendary dog. Finally is Kabu's ace, Centiskorch. I wanted to play it safe here, so I decided to heal up Trembling before Dynamaxing. And on the next turn, I go for a Max Guard, trying to stall the Dynamax further before landing a 4x super effective Guts boosted Max Rocks Fall, crushing his Centiskorch like you would with a bug in a newspaper. And with that, we get our third badge of the Nuzlocke and move on.